But I have about 25 years or so experience working really around the country, here in our state, in the Rocky Mountain region, helping communities and groups come together and really kind of think about, what do they want to do together, what do they aspire to do together, and how can they do that together well. So I coach and train a lot on collaboration. And perhaps as importantly, I'm not related to the other Commissioner Halliday, even though phonetically speaking, we sound a lot the same. We're actually two different families. We probably have some long ago Scottish lineage, but not that I'm aware of, or he is. So I just want to invite in a little bit of intention to this. I don't know how many of you know Margaret Wheatley's work, but she's started off as a scientist and then got into organizational development, and now works around the world as a community builder. And so one of her core understandings of the work that we do is that people own that which they help to build. So the work that we do is complex. There are many different ways people come into this work, understand it, try to build community, try to raise our families in our community. And it's really about how we come together, how we work together, how we aspire together, how we disagree together, that creates the thing that we want to build. And so that's what I bring into my work, is trying to create opportunities for people to co-create the lives and the community they want to live in. So I'm inviting that intention into our work today. We're doing a few things together. First of all, just want to do an overview of sort of the purpose, why are we here, and the process, what to expect as we're moving forward in this process. Talk a little bit about the current committee structure that Parks and Rec staff are responsible for. And then really the bulk of our time is to turn to you as experts, as practitioners, as people who are working through our community, through these structures to try to get good things done, get your feedback about how this process should go, what the commission really needs to be thinking about, what city staff needs to be thinking about. So I'll talk at you for about 10 or 15 minutes at most, and then you'll kind of be able to move around the room. So just to bring in how I hope that we'll work together today. These are guiding principles from the National Equity Project. And so the first is that we acknowledge each other as equals. So all of us come into this work from different perspectives, different experiences, different motivations. Some of us have been involved with the Helena community for many years, have raised children and been honored to see grandchildren in this land that we live in. Others are newer to the community or newer to being part of volunteer work in the community. And that's what makes us strong and vibrant as a community, is that we are constantly regenerating our ideas and our relationships. We listen to understand. A lot of this work will be about talking with one another, and that we, unless I'm mad at my husband, which doesn't happen that often, I try to listen to understand, right? And so just honoring that. Conversation is a way that humans think together, and we expect that sometimes things will get messy. So the work that we do, trying to build community together, trying to connect through different ways that we understand and agree or disagree, that's messy work inherently. We're messy animals. And so just rather than expecting super clean linear lines in how we do our work, we understand that sometimes it's circuitous, sometimes it doesn't feel like we're moving forward, and all of a sudden we jam forward in a really cool way. That's just kind of how we work. We expect everyone has good intentions. One of the honors I have, I think, in being able to live and work in Montana is that none of us are here because we think we're going to get super wealthy and famous. We're here because we love it, because we love one another, we love the land, we want to raise our kids here. If we're lucky, we want to pass away here, right? And so that we come into this work, even though we might have disagreements on things, we come into it with that shared sense of community and commitment. And that we value different perspectives. And so I'm a cheap and dirty consensus person. So if you can kind of live with these ways of being together today, you do a thumbs up. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, but you're going to hang with it, you could do a thumbs across. And if you're like, I don't want things being messy, then you can do a thumbs down. Can I see thumbs? Kind of thumbs up or thumbs? Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So a little bit about purpose and process, why you're here today. I think many of you received an email or an invitation. I know Christy has spoken with several of the boards that the city is directly responsible for helping to staff, but really it's to provide community input into the city's review of advisory boards, specifically that engage the Parks and Rec staff. And so we're starting the process with you guys. The commission has said we have a lot of advisory boards sort of across the board throughout the community. Let's take a look at them. Let's see how we can, are we doing a good job with maximizing the use of volunteers and staff? Are there places where there's overlap and redundancy? So it's kind of thinking as much as your strength and wisdom is based on your own experience of being on a board, it's a little bit getting up on the balcony and thinking as a community, as Parks and Recs volunteers, how would we think about kind of restructuring the way that we have advisory boards to do a really good job for our community into the future. So they've charged the city to do that work. We're starting here. Today is the first day of like a robust community conversation. In addition, on your tables, Rebecca was very clever and organizer-y to have these little, what would you call them? Little pieces of paper. They're also on the way out. So if you would like to participate in a survey that asks the same questions that were here, or as importantly, if not more so, if you have friends or colleagues who couldn't be here but still want to participate in this process, encourage them to get onto the survey.
How long will that survey be open?
I don't know. We're not really sure what the overall timeline is, but it'll be open at least for a few weeks. All right. And then everything that's recorded here today, everything on the surveys, all of that is recorded. I will be typing all of that up and then over lots of cups of coffee. And then that all goes to the city, and that's part of their recommendations that they fold into what they'll share with the commission. And they're really not sure what that timeline is as far as gathering that stuff.
Will the survey results be published?
Yes, so will survey results be published? Yep, so every survey results and everything coming in, being collected here will all be published. Okay? So here's a little bit more about the process. So the city is looking to increase efficiencies, reduce redundancies, add value, and increase public involvement, right? So it's a balance, right? How do you have things be maybe a little more streamlined, but increase public involvement? The commission has directed city staff to look at consolidating advisory boards. So it's not just looking at how can you be more efficient within yours, but are there opportunities to consolidate boards? And they're starting with Parks and Rec. So we're the guinea pigs for the process. So one of the questions here, I think it's back there, is this process. Like, how do you feel about this process and what would you want it to look like? That'll be helpful for the city as it moves forward. Community voice matters in this process. Right? So the city government is the government of the people. We are the people. How we feel about this, what we aspire to matters, right? That's why we're doing this gathering as well as a survey. And the city remains committed to engaging diverse representation of citizenry in advisory board structures. So it's not questioning that structure, it's questioning how do we do that structure well. So just to set the stage, the question around hours of staff time, these are the boards that are city-sponsored: HOMAC, Civic Center Board, Bill Roberts Gulf Advisory Board, and the City-County Parks Board. In addition, there are other boards that are not staffed by parks, but park staff are involved: the Public Arts Commission, the Citizen Council. And then this is not all inclusive, but there are many other non-city sponsored boards that staff participate in one way or the other. So as you see on your agenda, there are 6 themes that we've pulled together, trying to be reflective of ways to try to gather your input into